All right, welcome back to Decimal World, where we are still using base 10 blocks to represent decimals. Remember, this in Decimal World is no longer 100. We are using this to represent one whole number. So like $1 bill, I would use this to represent it. Okay, we are using rods to represent 1/10, right? Because it takes 10 of these to make up a whole. So rods are representative of 1/10. And we're using these unit cubes to represent 1/100ths, okay, with th, hundredth, tenth, right? Different than tens and hundreds. These have the th at the end, right? So if this is like a dollar, one whole, right, this would be 1/10, kind of like a dime, right? It would take 10 dimes to equal a dollar. And then we have 1/100th, right? It would take, this is kind of like a penny, like 1 cent. It would take 100 of these to equal one whole, 1/100th. We practiced using these yesterday to represent decimals. So let's take a look at the example I have here. So I've just set up here, so base 10 blocks. I have 1, 1, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. And how many hundredths? 1/100th, 2/100th, 3/100ths, 4/100ths. So yesterday when I was using kind of this map on Google, right, I would write down, okay, well, how many ones? There's 1, 1. It goes right here. Okay, how many rods? How many tenths? 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. So there are 3/10. And then how many hundredths are there here? 100th, 200th, 300th, 400th. So there are 400ths here. So this is how you would write this decimal down here at the bottom. 1 and 34/100ths, just like this, like it's written at the bottom. 1 and 34/100ths. Remember, when you have the decimal, when you're saying it, you say the word and. So sometimes it will look like this, where we have the the base 10 blocks. But also our TEK says that sometimes we're not going to use concrete models. Sometimes we're going to just use visual models, so pictures, to help represent decimals. So let's take a look at that. Let's move from using the concrete pieces to using pictures. I'm going to slide those over and pull up a picture here. So this is a picture of a decimal. And what you'll notice is that they have, like, here's the one whole, but here we have our tenths and our hundreds. They've squished them together on one picture here, but we can still look at what they are. So I'm just going to kind of highlight these as we go. Let's look at how many tenths we have here. So that would be a whole row, right? So look right here, that's 1/10. There's another rod, right? That's 2/10. Here's another one, that's 3/10. That's 4/10, 5/10, and 6/10. Look, they have 6 full rows. So I'm going to just show those here. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So like this is the same thing, 6/10, just like yesterday. But now they have the little hundredths here, the pieces kind of left over here on the side. So let's see, how many hundredths does this model have? Here is 100th, 200ths, 300ths. So they have 300ths right here. So I've kind of separated them here using my pieces, but on our picture, they're all kind of smushed together. So I could put them together like they are in the picture. So now my model kind of represents what the picture shows. So this is one whole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/10. And how many hundredths? 1, 2, 3 hundredths. So I can plug that back in onto my place value chart right here. Okay, how many ones did I have? That was one complete whole. How many tenths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/10. And how many hundredths? 1, 2, 3. So I have 1 and 63 3/100ths. So this is 1 whole. We have 6/10ths, and we have 3/100ths. Let's put the numbers down here. So it's 1 and 63/100ths would be how I would write that. Remember, this is the tenths place, this is the hundredths place. So this number is 1 and 63/100ths. Let's try another one using just the visual of a picture. So take a look at this one. I want you to try to guess what number this is. So go ahead and count. How many wholes do we have? How many tenths do we have? And how many hundredths do we have? I want you to go ahead and write down on your whiteboard or sheet of paper a guess as to which number you think this is, and then we're about to check it. So how many holes did you have here? Well, I have one complete one filled in. So I know I have 1 hole. How many tenths do I have? Let's count them here. That's the rods. So there's 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10. So I know there are a total of 4/10. And then how many hundredths did you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hundredths. 6 hundredths. So we have 1 whole, 4/10, 6 hundredths. I'm going to plug this in on this to help me out. Right? 1 whole, how many tenths did we have? Forget. 4/10, 6 hundredths. So the answer is right down here, 1 and 46 hundredths. So I would say this decimal is 1 and 46 hundredths. Remember, the decimal right next to the ones place is the tenths. Then the 2 over from the decimal is the hundredths. So 1 and 46 hundredths would be how I would do that problem. So you're going to practice some of these problems using pictures instead of the base 10 block pieces. So I'm going to show you pictures of some decimals like this, and you're going to try to decide what is the decimal that it is representing. Good luck.